Not a problem. All right.
And we are live. How's it going, Nick? How you doing?
Doing well, man. It's been a long week. I think it's this is the 347th day of March so far.
Oh yeah, it is the time stand still. It's a little crazy.
Yeah, it's been a long month. We started the month with our kickoff in San Diego, which was great to finally meet everybody in person.
Yep.
Then we had SRECon in the middle. There's still some more travel coming up later in the month, but it has been a really it's been a long few days, man.
Yeah, it's it's crazy.
And then on Tuesday, we
Yep.
announced Cribl Edge, which
Yes.
we're going to talk about today. And we also announced we renamed Logstream to Stream. We're dropping the logs, which is part of the joke. But it's been a really crazy busy couple weeks here. In the months leading up to a big launch. It's been super cool. Like the marketing team put out where Ed and I work at Cribl. We had 3 different podcasts that dropped. We had half a dozen different blog posts talking about it. We had webinars. We're doing a product demo next week. Now we're doing this live stream. So it's been a lot. Like if you've not been a part of a launch process for enterprise software, like I got to say, I think we just killed it on this one. I think we really nailed it.
Yeah, the team came together and got everything done. I've been amazed with the professionalism and structure and how well everything was. I thought the webinar that we did yesterday as part of the product release was amazing. I thought it was great. Great response. I had more questions than I could answer. I mean, they were just coming in fast and furious. And so it's great. I love questions.
I'm working on a blog post right now, recapping some of those questions and sharing some of the data from the polling, and that'll publish hopefully early next week as well. So there's more to come, but today we're going to go through what Cribl Edge is. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. Happy to take those on air. And then Ed's going to do a demo.
Please, for our viewers, if you have questions that we're not answering, or we're in the Cribl community Slack, we're on Twitter, love to answer questions. Just all about engagement, all about education. So please let us know.
Yeah, you can join that Slack at cribl.io/community. And there's about 3,400 people in there now.
Oh, look at that. We have a link. There we go.
Look at that. Ed's on the ball.
Oh, yeah, I know. Yeah, I have a future as a producer. Not really. But
all right.
Yeah. We just had a couple slides kind of wanted to share. The especially around Edge. So just I have to say personally, I am excited. I don't get really overly excited. I'm overly excited about Edge. I have long experience managing log shippers. In my last job, we had about, we had tens of thousands. And managing log shippers across an enterprise is painful. It is just painful. The idea that just to stay current with updates. I mean, I was lucky if I could get updates done every 6 to 8 months, if not once a year, and that's just not fast enough. Had to maintain config files, had to keep things in state, had to understand zombies, understand what was working. The security team, for example, we had to be able to prove all of our agents are working. That is surprisingly hard to do, and it's just it's pain, it's friction. I think I hear people talk about first principles all the time, and I think that the first principle that comes to me is pain. That if I'm given a choice between a new feature or eliminating an existing pain, I'm going to choose eliminating an existing pain every time.
Yeah.
And that is something I think that Edge addresses, that first principle of friction around managing your beats, your Splunk UFs, your Fluent Ds, your take your pick. It is just,
and nobody's like rethought this. Like you look at like other solutions that are in the market, they've been around for a decade or longer. Nobody's fundamentally saying, how do we rethink this from the ground up? And that's what Edge is, right? It is, we know that this sucks, right? Like we know this whole process of like managing these agents, and you're talking about not just one agent, but 30+% of the people that were on yesterday's webinar are managing 5 or more agents across tens of thousands of servers. Literally nobody's helping them. And so Edge is this idea of, all right, well, let's take all this pain that we know exists, and we know that doesn't work, right? It just does not work at scale. Nobody's helping like the Eds of the world. That's why he's so bitter right now.
That's why I'm gray.
And that's why he's all
Why the
going gray.
hair's gone?
Yeah.
I'm going gray. It's because of that.
Before we hired Ed, I didn't have any gray hair, but he's like, he shared the pain with me so much that like it's sympathetic gray in my beard.
My lovely personality. It's being around admins for too long.
Right. And so comment from Chris, right? More impressed with Edge as he dives into its features. And it has a lot there's a lot to unpack with Edge. There really is. So this might be a 1 hour live stream, and we're not going to spend too much time on preamble. But that was the idea. Like, let's figure out where these pain points are, and let's completely rethink how we're going to solve these problems. And a lot of these, this agent-based idea originated in much more centralized systems, and that's just not the reality anymore, right? Like you're not just deploying on the cloud, right? I'll say my usual joke, right? Talk to companies all the time. We're cloud native. 5% of our applications are in the cloud, right? But
Right.
Cloud native is like this thing that everybody says that feels they have to say. And now you're talking about microservice architectures, and you're talking about this and that, and just figuring out like what you should be collecting data for is like, you didn't build the application, somebody else did. You have no idea, like, am I checking the right log file, right? Am I monitoring the right process? And so Edge simplifies all of that for you.
Right. It really does. I mean, things that people don't even think about. I'm not sure most people realize it, but if you're working at a decent sized corporate environment and you have a laptop, there's a chance there's a log shipper on your laptop who's shipping data from your laptop over the internet, over the VPNs, through the woods and over the hills, back to Splunk or back to Elastic or something like that for security.
Yeah.
And it's just the diversity of data is unending. The scale of data is going up. So you need tools that are going to reimagine this process and take away that first principle of pain of, and being able to take your teams and instead of screwing around with updates and fig files and delivering value, and just taking away the friction. I mean, it is so meaningful.
Yeah. Thanks, Rob. Thanks for the comment. If you guys have any questions as you're watching the stream, ladies and gentlemen, feel free to drop them. We'll answer as many as we can. But so these are the challenges that we've seen, right? So just collecting data at the edge is a nightmare. And one question that we've gotten that we should talk about is, how do we define edge, right? And it's effectively kind of like where things happen, right? Whether that is in a container, whether that's in bare metal, in your data center, in a cloud, in a van, like maybe it's traditional IoT, right? Where you're talking about wind turbines or an oil drilling platform or something. Like that is the edge. Wherever data originates from is how we're defining the edge. We're taking a very expansive view of what the edge means. So it's not like an IoT story. It's very much a data origination story. So that is the edge that we're thinking about. And so collecting all this data, multiple agents, whether it's security, whether it's Splunk, whether it's whatever. And then how do you know you're getting the right stuff, right? How do you know you're collecting all the data that you need to, or not collecting the stuff that you don't need? And then all this management, right? You're talking about X number of agents over Y numbers of servers. And it's just managing the stuff, as Ed mentioned, is really challenging, both from like a reliability, standpoint, from a correctness standpoint. And so Edge takes all those issues and rolls them up and sweeps them away. So let's keep going. Let's talk about this stuff.
Oh, one thing I wanted to mention, and that's why I think it's important of kind of recharacterizing, so it's not just endpoints. Increasingly, you're seeing the customer data is coming from things like Kubernetes. So it's coming from entire platforms, not just servers. And so you have to recharacterize the source of the data. And that's why I think that it can be, once you think about it, it starts making sense. But that's that idea of edge, is where it's happening. So Kubernetes, cloud, laptops, endpoints, wherever your data is. And I think that's why it's so important to have a scalable collection method. One of the things I'm really impressed about Edge, it's scalable and automated Kubernetes data collection. Makes it easy. No more sidecars, no more nonsense like that. And also, it's not going to choke. I mean, too often times you work and you install popular solutions, and all of a sudden you're missing data. It's slow, it's queued because it just can't go fast enough.
Yeah. All right, Ed, show me those pages and pages of YAML files I get to. Oh no, we're not there yet. We're
Oh
gonna.
yeah, we're not there yet. Yeah, no
Okay.
more.
All
Hey,
right. All
hey,
right.
we're,
You
we're
promised. You
talking about
promised I wouldn't have to deal with any YAML.
you're taking. Hey, we're talking making pain go away. That means no more YAML.
Okay.
There's bad words that go with YAML.
All right. All right. So yeah, this is what it looks like. Okay.
Mhm. The idea is think about it in terms of completeness of vision, in terms of we have Stream. Stream is an amazing way to pull, manage, route data. But now we give you an option of making your edge collection even easier. But also, if you want to use Beats, you want to use the Splunk UF, you want to use the Elastic One agent, you want to use FluentD, use them too. It's the customer's choice. You're not requiring you like other solutions to say you can only use one agent. Use the agent that use whatever pleases you. But we do offer that option at Edge is that we're going to take the usability and user experience of Logstream, now known as Stream, and take that out to the Edge.
Yeah. Great point. Like for Cribl, it's always about customer choice, and a lot of vendors, in the technology space, are going to enforce their vision on you. We want to help your vision come to life. I mean, that's
Right.
really it. Right? Edge has advantages, but look, we recognize there's stuff that came before, which is a unique perspective for a Silicon Valley company. But look, there you do have legacy deployments out there that are offering a lot of value. So this is not a rip and replace story. This is an extension story.
Right.
You can evolve into this, but you don't have to do it on day one.
That's exactly right, and that's why and also if you have an acquisition, you have something you want to do, you know what, it will work because we have the ability with Stream to transform the different data to make it all match, to normalize it, to push it up to the platforms of your choice. I can't stress that enough. I got so tired of being limited by my vendor. And that's a big reason why I joined Cribl, because that opening for choice to give me options, to give my team options to get stuff done. And that was just that choice and control option was a big deal.
Yeah. So you can see, based on this high level diagram, right? You have your existing data sources that are feeding into
Mhm.
Cribl Stream, right? And then routing that data to multiple destinations in whatever format you need, sending that off to your observability lakes, any kind of object storage you might need, your security analytics tools, and so on. And then you can also have your edge agents and manage as a fleet, sending data directly into Stream. And then your management plane, your leader node, remains the same. And so there's no new tool to install here from a management perspective. This comes with Cribl Stream. And
And it's the
Ed,
same binary. Go
it's
ahead.
exactly it's the same binary.
So,
That it makes it a lot easier. Ed, are you talking about pricing on this one?
not so much. I mean, let's talk about that really quick.
Yeah, let's talk about
And
that.
this is another thing. This is sharing as a former customer. Vendors bringing me pricing, bringing me that, okay, this feature costs this, and this feature costs this, and this is a different license, and this is a different report. I had one vendor tell me that they needed to bring a revenue engineer into the conversation in order to tell me what exactly I was going to pay. And that set me over the edge. I had another vendor tell me that this is
A
for an
different
APM.
edge, not this edge.
Yeah. Yes, set me over the edge of a cliff. Uh, homicidal rage of I've had enough. I mean, I had another vendor tell me that it was an APM product that says, okay, we're going to charge you by how much memory you're using, and we'll give you a whole 24 hours to true up and pay us more money every time you add more memory to a Java server. And end of the conversation, because it was just simplicity of the license, I think, is extremely important, and that's where
Yeah.
Edge comes in.
Yeah. So
Keep
the
it
pricing
simple.
for Edge is the same as it is for Stream, and it's
It's the same license. It's the same report.
data in,
Your
right?
data in.
That's
That's
it.
it.
And then there's also, if you're connecting Edge to Stream, you are not paying double, right?
Right.
There is no upcharge for sending data from Edge to Stream. So the math here gets really simple. There is no revenue engineer for maximum cash extraction.
Right.
The math is really simple. Is the main thing here. We want it to be easy for us. We want it to be easy for you.
And that's something that's very important. And as you send data through, think of your process, your Cribl data processing grid from edge to Stream. You're not going to get double indexed. You're not going to charge for double ins. Hear me, Splunk? You're not going to get charged for touching something twice. You hear that? Because that's another conversation of is going to charge you one time, and then you get value. So that I think it's just that simplicity is so important.
We've got one of our SEs dropping comments, and he's giving it away. We better get moving. He's talking about all the things you can do with Edge, and it's the same stuff you can do with Stream.
Right, and it's very. And I think it's you're going to give just the idea is more options. You can put your functions, your features where you want them to be.
Yeah.
So just to have a couple more in terms of benefits, and like for me personally, beyond all the hoopla, is making it easier. One UI to manage your entire fleet, not 45 deployment servers to manage your servers, not having to wait. I mean, we had one customer tell us they had to wait 3 or 4 days for the deployment servers to reload because they had so many servers on them. The amount of time that your team spend doing this stuff is painful. You want your engineers doing things that benefit the business. And I think just by making that friction go away, it's an enormous value. And it goes back to lowering that total cost of ownership.
Yeah. Nobody gets up and says, I can't wait to go manage my agents.
Yes. Like love updating. Yes. That whole process. I mean, you have to engage the right team if they're free. Okay. We need to update, 25,000 servers. They say, okay, we can do this and we can do this in 8 months. And I'm like, but we're going to be out of support in 8 months. I need you to move faster. So put the ability to update your agents on your own, the ability to manage them, the ability to onboard your data, the ability to write your event breakers. I mean, one thing was super common. So we had a process to development to say, hey, we have new development, we have new logs we need to put in the Splunk. Get this request. There would be a path in the request to see what the logs. The most common thing to happen was the path is wrong. Because, for example, in the development process, they changed it, or they changed the name of the log. And so then one of my engineers would have to send the ticket back, and then a couple of days later, someone would get back to us. And it just created friction. And then one of the great things with Edge, you can actually see the logs that are being written into the system, the active logs. So there's no more, is it there, is it not? You can actually see it. And so it just one more piece of friction that goes away.
Yeah.
Move less data. Now, so after you get rid of that first principle of pain, you ease your management, you ease what you're doing. You now have the ability to process data if you want to, out on your server, out on your platform to reduce it. So potentially you're gonna move less data across your WAN. I see for laptops that could be super beneficial. You have somebody sitting at home, you need to be able to get visibility into the security logs. Being able to move less data over the WAN, over their Wi-Fi is going to have a lot of benefits. And so it really helps. It just gives you that choice. Like, there's so many different things you could do. Let's see. We got another comment from Chris. Yeah, and I agree, Chris. I mean, that's the idea is, some places make sense to put it in Stream, other places make sense in Edge. I think for one example, one of the use cases I was thinking about with Edge is like with Audit D, you need to be able to pull your UID, GID translations off the server and enrich that data in flight, because it'd be real easy to have mismatches or unknown users off of a server. So this is an example with Audit D data. Edge could pull and also pull the UID, GID matchings and enrich the data in flight. So not only are you going to have potentially less data, but you're going to have better data.
Yeah.
And to find out that key benefit of centralized agent management. I mean, it just makes things easier. I think that's a core tenet, customers first and making things easier. You have so many, this is like, you're looking at everyone in our chats with, I know Chris and Rob that have spent a lifetime working, your professional lifetime working in these things and laboring in it, and just know what it's like.
Yeah. And, there's some centralized agent management out there, but it's basically pushing config files around, right? There's very little way to validate that information that it's correct. If you don't get it right, you've got to roll it back out to 25,000 different agents, 50,000 agents, 100,000 agents.
Right.
It's still brutal, right? No one has empathy for the operators that are out doing this stuff.
Right. I think the idea, and this is something that it's just, you're completely right. I mean, it's just something, there is one set that's trying, but they're not getting to that level of just making this just, We're not talking about incremental improvements. We're talking about a dramatic improvement.
Yeah, this is a 10x story.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Just so we already know about so if you already have if you have 3.3 and above, you already have Edge. It's already there. I encourage anyone go into Cribl Cloud. You can get a free account. Let me see. I have a link for that somewhere. So start with Sandbox, but go to Cribl Cloud. You have a free license that you can use up to 1 terabyte in Cribl Cloud. It has Edge built into it. I believe it's 150 Edge nodes that are part of the license as well. So you can try it out for free. You can see your data. You can pump that data over into Splunk Cloud or Elastic Cloud, for example, so that you can get go hands-on really quickly as well.
Yeah.
Also check out our sandboxes as well.
Yeah, we rolled out a Cribl Edge sandbox, so you can step through the whole process. You can get a really nice walkthrough. It's so easy, even I can do it. But it really gives you a great environment to learn, and then you can jump over to Cribl Cloud and start to play with the whole architecture.
And that's what I like about Cribl Cloud so much is that you like, for example, I mean, I have VMware Workstation running on one of my computers at home. I fired up some VMs, pointed it at it. I can get some data out of it right away. If you're working in your workplace, you have a small business, it's going to be okay to pump data over the internet. That's another way to do it. It gives you a very defined package, makes installation super simple. And I got to give credit to the team who developed Edge. The installation process is secure. It's actually running as a service account. It's not running as root. It's it's a solid setup. And so out of the box, you can get value right away.
Yeah, and value right away means you don't have to configure this, right? It will go and proactively look for anything that looks like a log file.
Right. And that's something I wanted to just show, and then I'm going to show it off for real in a second. One of the things that everyone struggles with and has to spend time with, think about in terms of metric collection. So you have to install some sort of client, you have to install config files, you have to figure out what metrics you want to do. You have to worry about, is my metric collection process going to generate too much overhead? One of the things I really like about Edge is it's using one of our really neat products called AppScope, which is an open source project, to generate really nice metrics. And it automates it. It's right out of the box. You get solid metrics that are ready to go, that are going to work in Splunk. They're going to work in pretty much anything you want it to work in. And it's just there. But then you have the options are, do I want to have a lot of metrics? Do I want a little metrics? Do I want to customize it? It's all in the GUI. You don't have to go to the config file. And then you have a nice monitoring pane where you can understand the impact. Because that's another big deal. Everyone's concerned. I had a bridge call one time. Splunk Universal Forwarder was using 10% of one core on a server, and the app owner got really upset about it. And I was just like, it gives you kind of the visibility and the sensitivity of it. But Edge is not only efficient, and it'll get more efficient, but due to the ability to monitor it, you'll know it. It won't be a surprise. You'll be able to understand what's happening.
Mhm.
And that visibility to me is just, it's another thing that saves so many problems.
Yeah, agreed.
Yep. Log file monitoring and also the user experience. It's just, the user experience is a dream compared to the kind of stuff I've had to deal with before. All right. So let's 1 second. Let me get this. Let me get my UI fired up.
Yeah, Ed's going to swap over to the
Yep.
demo for Edge, and then if you have any questions, drop those in the chat. I know we got a few folks on, or join the community. We've got a dedicated Edge channel in our community Slack. There's already some folks there. Ed did mention something, by the way, that if you already have Stream 3.3 that came out a month ago, you already have Edge. These bits have actually been available for quite some time. So you may already have this capability. And I think it took our community, all of 2 hours when we released it to find the links for Edge and see the documentation. So this has been out there for a while, although we just announced it formally on Tuesday. And one other thing I wanted to mention is a lot of other products require you use their agent. That is not the case here, right? That will never be the case. You can use Stream independently from Edge. There is no requirement that you use Edge to send data to Stream. Ed called that out earlier when we were looking at the high level architecture. I just want to double down on that. We want to preserve that customer choice. as long or indefinitely when it comes to streams use or any other piece of our observability architecture.
Yeah, it was just exactly what Nick said. I think that that's so important to preserve that choice, to give our customers what they do what they need to do. Nothing I hated more than somebody saying, "Oh yeah, we're going to change, and you're going to have to come along with us. You're going to have to change what you're doing," and then you're scrambling because it's not like it's not like you don't have anything to do. You have trying to keep up with some nonsense from a vendor. So I mean, this is a really good thing, and it's something I'm pleased about.
Yeah.
So this is the UI.
All right. So what are we looking at here? Break this down for me.
All right, so I just want to break down at the top. So this is where so at the top, so I'm in Cribl Cloud. So this is the top of the UI where you can then flip through. So go to the upper left-hand corner in Cribl Cloud. So you have Stream and you got Edge. So you get a nice default view. And so the idea, we have default fleets, and also you set up new fleets for your groupings. For example, data center A would be a fleet, data center B, C, and so on. And so it gives you a lot of flexibility. And this is very similar. You have a log stream view, fleets, you have your edge nodes, processes, how much memory, how much storage we're talking about.
All right.
So let's go to here. So now we're seeing the overview. So you have each server, we're having how much data we're pulling. Also, and then we have some default metrics. This gives you some nice views in terms of monitoring. You have your system load, 5-minute duration. You can see it live or you can see it reporting. The idea is that sense of I want to be able to get a sense of the data that I'm using. This UI is going to change as it improves. It's going to scale for time, but it's just this is the basic highlight, and it presents a nice view. I mean, I like it. It's really helpful. It gives you that nice upper level view of what you're doing. One thing that's just great, really appreciate. So if I want to install a new edge node, all I got to do is copy this to an install script, and it'll take care of the rest. It'll take care of pulling a package, configuring the endpoint, sets the user, sets the path. I think setting the path is very important. If you're going to be installing Stream and Edge, you want to make sure you're installing the different paths. And so it makes it just one more thing about just making it simple. Use this script, you take care of it. Also, if you're not using cloud, you can use your on-prem instance and do this from your leader as well. And that's another thing that just always irritated me, where there'd be a different cloud experience versus an on-prem experience. We're trying really, really hard to give the same value because we know not everyone can use our cloud product. Of course, we want everyone to use it, but we know not everyone can.
Yeah.
So just get that same value and that same ease of use, regardless of where you're using it.
Yeah. To Chris's comment, from zero knowledge to sending data in less than 10 minutes. It takes longer for us to explain this stuff than it does to actually do it.
Right, and that's what I mean about removing that friction of just fast. I mean, I think that fast, easy. So let's go into some of these things in terms of metrics collections. I think let's start with metrics collections. That's one of the things I just really like. This is awesome. So go into our sources and that's the thing. If you're using Stream, you're already going to be familiar with what's going on. Talk about system metrics. And this is just awesome. And the ability, the out of the box experience is great because it's just it's just easy. Pick your host metrics. So here's your basic host metrics that are going to get consumed no matter what. But you also have full metrics. The full metrics, and so you go to the documentation to see it, but it's absurd. It's everything, and with a great deal of detail. But also you have it custom, so you can get something in between basic and everything. I mean, I imagine most people are going to be something with something in between, but just that idea that I have control and I can click through the UI and I can see exactly what I want to do. That ease of use is super important. But also disable things. If I want to disable it, I can turn it off. Again, it's just choice and control, and I'm not stuck with what someone else wants me to do.
Yeah, and you may want to change your metrics collection based on different environments, et cetera. And so you can do that here at a fleet-wide level.
Exactly. And I think that's a great point. For example, you want your detailed metric collections in your prod environment, but your minimal metrics collections in your dev environment. And you can change it. And you can change, and that's another thing with other solutions you're looking at, which can be a substantial amount of time before your changes are made. This is going to be made fleet wide in minutes. And so you have just you're going to get results. You're going to be able to validate, and you're not sitting around waiting.
Yeah.
Another important in terms of container metrics, same thing. It has a really nice, really low overhead way of detecting containers and then measuring containers, so you can get a really nice view. And also, this data is not just locked into the Edge UI. You're forwarding this data hopefully into Stream, and then Stream is going to park that data into whatever your analytics platform, Grafana, Elastic, Splunk. Again, it's your choice. So you're not stuck with someone else's solution. You're doing what you want to do. Yeah. Same thing with you have the same options with container metrics. A little bit in between. You can have, you say, I'm going to pull all container data. I'm going to pull some container data. This filter is particularly good. But for example, say you have certain containers or dev containers or very ephemeral containers or something, but at least you're not having to. You have the ability to not collect everything. And also, if I want to turn it off, I turn it off.
So Ed, I've been spoiled with Edge. I've been spoiled with Cribl Stream. If I didn't have this stuff and I wanted this kind of flexibility, how would I do it?
Well, if you didn't have this, so let's talk about what most people have to deal with, and we'll talk about what some people have. And so, if you don't have Edge, the only option out there is what most people have to do, for example, is they're going to have Elastic or Puppet or some sort of configuration tool that they've configured in order to give them global deployments. But typically, the thing is that's going to be controlled by another team. And so it's going to depend upon their time, or if you're lucky enough to have access. If you have a mature CI/CD pipeline, that's another way. But you still have to manage. Still have to master config files. So instead of your engineer spending time building an observability solution or threat hunting or getting value out of data, they're busy managing config files. They're busy going through and trying to figure out, okay, here's the metric I want. Like anyone who's had to deal with WMI, for example, trying to go through the list of WMI metrics and getting it just right in Elastic or Splunk is just painful.
Yeah.
And then you have to test it, then you have to deploy it, then you have to fix it because typically it's never right the first time. It's not that you can't do it. It's just that the amount of time and where are you going to put your engineering time? I think you've said this before. Engineering time is the most precious thing in the enterprise. It's your most finite resource. And you have to, where are you going to deploy it? Is it going to be to defend the business? Is it going to be to support the business? Is it going to be to add business value? Or are you going to spend time on just basic admin work that's not delivering direct admin work?
Yeah. Nobody's lauding the
admin
team
value.
that's like updating agents. Like nobody's patting them on the back.
Yeah, no one ever said I made my numbers. Because and so those are the kind of things that are just very, very important. One thing I want to mention also, so disk persistence, so that you have the persistent queue, you have options for maintaining data. It's all right there. So if you globally, you can do it. You can manage this per fleet. You can do just however you want to do it. But I really like the set of default values that are going to give you a stable professional platform out of the box with almost doing nothing.
Yeah. If you want to know more about persistent queuing, that was actually our topic last week for the live stream. So check our YouTube channel there for that.
It's an important topic, but I potentially bored Nick to death. But I
was on life support by the end of it. But yeah, it's an important topic.
I like to talk about it, but not but it depends on what you're into. But this is the thing that amazes me. So if I want to check the status, I can check the status of all my hosts for metrics, have nice charts so I can see my data. I mean, if I want to see live metric collection, so here we go. So it's just you can see it coming right in. I can search it, I can understand it, I can do all sorts of things. And it's beautiful data. I mean, this is so well laid out. And the thing is, this is going to work as well in Elastic or Splunk or Grafana, and you're going to get that same value. So it's just you're just all about choice and control.
Let's look at that last tab for logs.
And this is another one where you're able to see. This is just feedback. I'd have to turn up debug to see anything.
Mhm.
But this just one more value of if I need to troubleshoot something right there, it's right there on the tab. I don't have to go into the admin section. I don't have to go into another tool. It's just right there.
Yeah, looks great.
You can tell I'm excited about this because this is awesome.
Yeah, and Ed only gets excited about barbecue and
Pretty much.
logging. That's it.
That's pretty sad. It used to be the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure, so I have advanced in life.
Ed's a lawyer, by the way, by training. I don't know if anybody knows that, but
Yeah.
he
Well,
got hit
I
on the
went to
head.
law
He got hit
school.
on the head, and then became a enterprise architect.
Yeah, I went to law school, but I wouldn't claim to be a lawyer. But so let's go back in this. So this is just your basic tailing action. Very common, most common use case out there. I want to see a file. And so this is another thing about this is one thing Nick was mentioning in terms of manual versus discovery. So we know var log messages, that's as common gets. But let's look at some of the options in terms of so here's our search path, journal log name. Oops, this isn't gonna work. But you have the ability. There we go. That's right, Dave Geller. Data and barbecue.
We got to get you some T-shirts made.
Oh, I know. That's right. Actually, I like that. So also see the tags. Another important thing, especially is with application logs. This is a great place to write out your metadata. And also you can drive your routing out of stream with metadata tags entered here. Let's look at auto discovery. This is fun.
This is the
Are you-
coolest thing. I like I know there's a lot here, but for me, this is like the coolest part of Edge.
This is really neat because the idea is that so this discovery feature, everything that matches the this allow list is going to capture it automatically. I don't have to do anything. So we're going to go and do a remote session, remote session in a second, so that we can see that. But it's again, it just makes things easy. If you know where your data is, you know your extension of .log, you're done.
Yeah, no configuring, right? It goes and finds the stuff for you.
Go. Another thing I want to mention: this is where you write your breakers. No more messing around with props and transforms. No more trying to you build a visual regex. You know, it's all there. And it works very, very nicely. Another in fields, another so if I want to set this is where I would set, say, my source, my index, my source type, set it right here and forget about it. Everything that you can do in the config file is right here. This is one of the things we're going to mention in terms of pre-processing. So this is a great place, for example. So say I have a log that has some fluff in it, like JSON, for example, and I want to eliminate the white space. I can attach a pipeline. I can attach a pipeline to the input that's going to get rid of the fluff and only forward what I want upstream up to stream. This is a great example of you can forward less data.
And you can use Cribl packs at the
Right.
edge, which
Exactly.
I think is something that I frankly I forgot about. I wasn't aware of this. So packs are pre-built routes and pipelines if you're not familiar
Mhm.
with them, and you can easily install them and use them without customization, or you can use them as a jumping off point for your own work. And you can use them in Stream, and you can also use them in Edge. So it saves you a lot of time, especially for really cumbersome data types like Windows events.
Yeah, and that's why I encourage, especially teams, and when you're looking into packs, especially if you have a lot of custom logging, it's a great way to have your event breakers and everything ready to go, easy to deploy, and make your processes more repeatable.
Yeah.
Then, so and same thing with in terms of status, you can check the status of your hosts. Nice charting, but just that good quality visual feedback. Let's look at a couple of other things. This is something I also wanted to stress. This is all about so by default you have the Cribble stream destination. But if you don't want to send your data to Cribble stream, you don't have to, and that goes back to the choice and control. If I want to go edge to Prometheus, edge to Splunk, edge to Syslog, edge to whatever, I can do that. And
Yeah.
so I think those are just more helpful things to get my job done.
Yeah. It's a great option.
Mhm. So so just to let you know what the exec function is. So this is the idea of it a scheduled command. where essentially Edge is shelling out and running your command. So it can be Bash script, it can be Python, it can be all sorts of other things in order to give you extra capabilities. I mean, from a Splunk perspective, it would be the equivalent of a scripted input. So it gives you even more flexibility about pulling data.
Mm-hmm.
So you have so you can do it on an interval, you can do it on a cron job. I mean, for example, this is for anyone who's processing audit D data all the time. Raw audit D data is going to have a raw UID GID instead of being associated with a name or a group name. And so, for example, you could use an exec function to run AU report in order to have your audit D data matched up with your GID UID data, and then pump up an enriched data set up into your SIM. So that's just one example from a local from running at the edge that could be really useful.
Yeah, that's a big time saver.
Because otherwise, you're having to do all sorts of other things to work around it.
Yeah,
So
a lot of hoops.
Yeah, hoops is the word for it. So, oops. And also the same thing, you have the ability that I'm going to have a set of default routes. So I'm going to have my output, and I'm going to send this data. I can send this data up into stream or pretty much wherever I want. And so you can attach your pipelines, have your file names. Let's do a quick capture. You may have to go generate some data. There we go. All right, so at least we got plenty of metrics. That same idea is that you can capture your data. Nice layout over here. And look at this. This is only default metric data, and how great this is.
Yeah. Yeah. And I haven't seen one configuration file yet. I'm very happy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's ridiculously easy.
So Ed, the one other thing that we've talked about a lot internally is, you're not supposed to SSH into servers anymore. Right. Yeah. But how do I find out what's going on if I can't get into the servers? And I think Edge has got a really good story here for this.
Yeah, it really does. And so, I mean, this is something you always definitely want to coordinate with your security team about, but it definitely does. So let's get into this. So one thing I want to kind of show off in terms of, here's collected metrics to give you these ideas. Data activity, so you can see what's going on in the server. Node info, so this is all available from the API. I can see smart teams using this as a way to populate other types of data sets because this is so good.
Yeah, that's great.
And then look at that. We are now inside the node. So we've now remoted into this server where we can see active data. We can explore processes, containers. So here's what we mentioned about log files. So for example, here's all the active log files on this server.
And these are all the ones that were automatically discovered. We didn't add these. Yeah.
Right. And so what Edge is doing is it's looking at proc, it's looking for open files that are being written to, and it's making some assumptions about what those logs are. So for example, it's looking for anything that's .log. Now, one thing to keep in mind, you always have to be aware of what the user is running as. So if you have a user with no access that can't see root file systems, then it's not going to pick them up. But just be aware of that. But you're going to have a lot of visibility. This is an example of something that just drove me crazy in the last job. That application onboarding requests would get delayed for days because we simply just couldn't see the data. We couldn't find the data because like my team didn't have access to all these servers, and they weren't supposed to. And so this alone makes me excited about Edge, and that I can go in to discover my active logs, and then I can see my active logs. I can build my event breakers right off of this. And so just being able to see the data, build the event breaker saves so much time. I'm sure anyone who's watching this, you've been through the insanity of development. We need a sample from development. Development won't send you the sample. So you're potentially waiting days. I had log onboarding requests go in for weeks because of this back and forth. And it's just short circuits at all because the data is right in front of you.
So
yeah, Chris, I know your frustrations. You know them too.
And there's a few live streams ago we complained, or I complained, about the usability of enterprise software, and the root issue I think is that the people that are building the software never had to use it in the wild, and that's a real difference here. But going back to the Edge story, in just a couple clicks, we went from we've installed the node, or we've installed the agent on the node, and then We're automatically collecting data from log files that we didn't configure. And then we can start to search and start to work with that data right away in minutes.
Yeah, and this is something I really wish, Jake, I could have had you on my team just so you could see this for one day of like the event breakers, for example. You need accurate data. You need to be able to see it, and there it is. I mean, it makes things so much simpler. Oh my god,
Yeah.
it just I know I'm being a little ridiculous, but I mean, but these things are. I mean, it's just this is something that's really great. So let's look at processes. Here's all the running processes on the system. This is a great thing I could see teams using to try to troubleshoot. Common thing, get called on a bridge. Someone's complaining about your log shipping agent. Here we go. If someone's complaining about it, instead of having to get permission, I can't tell you how many times, for example, I would have to get someone who did have permission to log into the server for me so then I could remote control their desktop so that I could fix the problem.
Yeah.
With this, I could go in, I could do a search. Here we go. The process, drill into the process, and start seeing the details. PID, UID, priority. I mean, I mean, this is great stuff. See all these C group names? This is so much troubleshooting information at your fingertips.
Yeah. It's really powerful. It's really like,
It's ridiculous.
yeah.
This is truly ridiculous.
Yeah. And
Now,
then when you combine it with, so
mhm.
you have all of this accessibility. And then when you combine it with the ability to route that data anywhere, filter it, all the things that Stream can do, it really is remarkable.
Yeah, it really is, and just that ease of use, being able to see it end to end. I mean, yeah. I wish I'd had a time to get a couple containers, but you get the same benefit from process view, the file view, the host view with your containers. And
Yeah.
that's another super common problem. It's like I have some container. There's 50 containers. What's it called? What's it doing? But with this, you can trace down the process to the container and then understand all that information.
Yeah. No sidecar required.
Yeah, that's oh, another bad word. So, I wish sidecar was a four-letter word.
Yeah. We'll have to come up with an abbreviation for it.
Uh,
All right. So we've been going here for coming up on 50 minutes. What else we got left to show, or should we start to wrap it up?
well, I just want to show a quick of a monitoring tool. Another
Okay.
thing I'm sure that Chris is going to understand. So a lot of enterprise logging, enterprise data teams that are working with security need to be able to report and alert that their agents are all running. That can be easier said than done. But with Blockstream, I mean, excuse me, with Edge, you have the ability to monitor, to understand, and alert if something's not working.
Mhm.
And it just gives you that ability, nice ability to report to, and it's just from a troubleshooting standpoint. This is something where you get paid your bridge and they say Splunk's broken. Like, okay, can we get some more data here? And with using Edge, with using Stream, you can go to your default monitoring tools and quickly understand. Okay, there's not a problem. There's no data coming to Edge. There's no data coming to Splunk, so it's something upstream. But you could just so quickly narrow this down and understand what's going on because these are things just not possible or not possible. A lot of effort in other tools.
Yeah. I think you hear a lot about, we're going to use AI, ML to offload all of this work. It's just too varied. I mean, the reality is that you need hands-on keyboard to deal with like this massive scope that all these companies are working with.
I
Um,
think you mentioned people who design products who never use the product. I mean, I
yeah,
think that
no, you think you nailed it right there.
yeah.
No, this is truly remarkable.
Yeah, this is great. I mean, I was excited about Logstream, now Stream in 2018. Now I'm really excited about this.
Yeah, and so could this replace Splunk TA possibly?
Yes, Rob. So if you're talking about the Nix TA, then yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So there's a couple of things in there that so this product is dot zero product. It's rapidly evolving. Excuse me. But in terms of your scripted inputs, in terms of your tailed files, in terms of your being able to run executables, it's all there. And then, but also ease of use and scale.
Yeah.
Um,
And the other
Rob,
piece, sorry, go ahead, answer
no,
that question.
I was saying, and Rob, let me know in terms if you want to talk about the Nix TA, then yeah, we can definitely talk about that. Also, the EKS TA, and that's the thing. We're going to do another one just because it takes me longer to get a demo environment set up. But I'll show you what this does for Kubernetes. This changes everything for Kubernetes.
Yeah. Maybe we'll do that next week's live stream.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So join us next Thursday, 11 PT, 2 Pacific or 2 Eastern. And we'll run through this. We'll run through Edge on EKS. And then the last piece, I think we've got a few minutes here, and I know I got a hard stop here at the hour. AppScope, right? If you're not familiar with AppScope, it is our open source black box instrumentation utility, and it basically insinuates itself between a running process and the system, and allows you to dynamically collect instrumentation from any Linux binary. So with Edge and AppScope, you can basically teleport to a server, pick a process that you want to start instrumenting, turn that on, and then do anything you want with that data. All of the usual functions of Edge and Stream apply, and then turn that off when you no longer need to collect that information. I mean, the level of visibility here, well, let's call it what it is, right? This is true observability.
Right. And this is so I'm sure everyone has their traditional APM packages. And so the traditional APM tools work really well for .NET and Java, but typically their ability to give you instrumentation on Go, Rust, React, all the other, C is going to be pretty limited. And that's where AppScope shines, in that it's going to give you that kind of visibility into everything.
Yeah.
And I think that is, and so many things in the industry are changing. People are moving away from Java and .NET. They want to be able to use other things, and instrumentation is hard. And AppScope gives you the ability to understand what is this thing doing, but that without having your developers do that work. And so it's super powerful.
Yeah. Really good stuff. Look, thanks for everybody for attending. I think this is our best performance yet on a live stream. So really thank you for joining us. And we'll have more next week. If you have any questions in the meantime, join the community, right? If you're not already there, check out the sandbox. And if you have any questions, send them over.
That was awesome. Thank you, Nick. And everyone, thank you very much. And please, if you want to talk one-on-one, talk in Slack, talk in social, please let us know. We're here for you.
Definitely. All right. Thank you very much, Ed.
All right. Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.